All right, welcome to another episode of Fantasy Forecast, the number one spot for all fantasy predictions and picks. Today we're going to be covering the top fantasy quarterbacks of 2023. Make sure you check out the last video where I covered who you should and shouldn't be picking in the first round of your draft. I'll put the link below. While you're here, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. We're going to be putting weekly videos up throughout the season with who you should be starting and who you shouldn't be starting. We're going to be using our in-house algorithm, which only gets more accurate as the season goes on. I've won a lot of people championships with this algorithm, and I'm giving it to the world for free. But let's get started. The top quarterbacks you should be drafting in the 2023 season. All right, so obviously the number one quarterback is Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes is building a dynasty in Kansas City. He's been a top 4 quarterback in the last 3 seasons and actually finished at number 1 last year. Pat averaged 25.2 points per game. The Chiefs didn't really pick up any outstanding wide receivers in the offseason, but they still have Travis Kelce, which is really all that Patrick Mahomes seems to need. Now, somebody in your league probably will get Patrick Mahomes in the late first round, early second round. So if that happens, look to target this next quarterback, Josh Allen. He's the best of both worlds. He has an absolute cannon and can make some of the most incredible throws you've ever seen. But he's also not afraid to tuck the ball and run with it. Josh averaged 24.2 points last year and has been the number 1 quarterback 2 of the last 3 previous years. Josh is a safe pick if he's still available. I'm snagging him sometime in the 3rd to 4th round if he is available. All right, next up, you should be trying to get Jalen Hurts. Jalen had a real breakout year last year, averaging 25.6 points per game. If he would have played the last 2 games of the season, there's a really good chance he would have ranked number 2 over Josh Allen in quarterback ranking. Jalen's an incredible player. I mean, he rushed for 3 touchdowns against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. What else do I need to say to convince you? All right, next up, Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is pretty controversial in the football world, but I'm easily taking him late 3rd, early 4th round in fantasy. The Ravens picked up Zay Flowers in the draft this year, but a lot of people were saying was one of the top receivers to pick up. I'm seeing a lot of good news about Zay Flowers in the preseason camp. The Ravens also picked up Odell Beckham Jr., who's a huge addition to this receiving core in Baltimore. Mark Andrews, who was the top tight end in the league in 2021, is also still in Baltimore. Expect the Ravens to have a great year this year and expect Lamar Jackson to lead them to the playoffs. All right, I know a lot of people were waiting on this one. Joe Burrow. Joe only seems to get better and better as his time in the league goes on. He had an amazing playoff run in 2021 and threw up some great stats last year in 2022. When he was ranked the number 4 quarterback amongst all quarterbacks. He has great talent all around him in Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, and it seems that the Bengals also upgraded their O-line, which is kind of where they were lacking. All right, next up, let's talk about Justin Fields. I know. The Bears were terrible last year. They didn't really have any big names on the team, and Justin Fields was just running the ball around and actually rushed for an insane amount of yards last year. He had 2 games where he put up over 40 points just based off of rushing. See, the kicker here is that the Bears went and picked up DJ Moore and Chase Claypool, which are huge additions to the Bears offense. Expect the Bears to have a lot better year and expect Justin Fields to really break out this year. Next up, Deshaun Watson. We didn't really get to see much of Deshaun last year, and when he did start playing, it was pretty lackluster. The Browns made some huge upgrades to their already pretty strong wide receiving core. They picked up Elijah Moore from the Jets, who had a pretty good year in 2021, averaging around 12.4 points per game before getting injured. They also drafted Cedric Tillman from the University of Tennessee, who had an incredible year in 2021. They also still have Amari Cooper, a huge weapon for the Browns. I personally think the Browns have one of the strongest wide receiver cores amongst all teams right now, and I'm expecting them to do huge things. Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's an absolute dog. Draft him, trade for him, pick him up. Whatever you do, get Justin Herbert. He's one of the safer QBs that you can get. He was ranked as the 2nd top quarterback in 2021, averaging 23.3 points per game. He had a little bit more of a down year last year, being ranked number 11, averaging 17 points per game, but I'm expecting him to bounce back up this year. He has a very strong wide receiver core with Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Josh Palmer. I think it's a good strategy to get 3 strong, skilled players and then snag him in maybe the 4th, 5th round. Either way, you can't go wrong with Justin Herbert. Next up, be on the lookout for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is officially a New York Jet. I mean, he seems happy in New York. He even took a $35 million pay cut just to be there. Aaron has a very strong receiver core with him in New York, including Garrett Wilson, Allen Lazard, McCole Hardman, Corey Davis. The Jets have all the hype right now, and Aaron's one of the most seasoned vets in the league. I would say Aaron Rodgers is a safe bet, and I would draft him. All right, the next quarterback we're going to talk about, I think some people will agree with me and some people won't agree with me, and that's Geno Smith. Geno showed us last year that he's not just a backup quarterback and led the Seahawks into a wild card game against the San Francisco 49ers. The Seahawks drafted Jackson Smith and JB from Ohio State, which is a huge snag for them. A lot of people were saying Jackson was the top receiver in the draft, and they picked him with the 12th pick in the first round. With DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett both returning to Seattle this year, they have an incredible wide receiving core. Geno ended the year last year ranked as the number 5 quarterback amongst all quarterbacks, averaging at 18.5 points per. Expect him to have another great year. All right, I appreciate you all watching. Stay tuned for the next video. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment any questions you have below. I'm responding to all comments. Have a great draft, and let's have a great fantasy football season.